In the race to vaccinate the world, Africa has fallen far behind. Only 3% of the billions of doses delivered across the world have been administered in Africa. Vaccine equity is key to ending the pandemic, and fast-tracking the continent's rollout needs to be a global priority. So what does Africa need to achieve this goal? The African Union reports it has ordered enough doses to vaccinate about 35% of the continent by the end of the year 2022, on top of the additional 30% coverage promised by COVAX, the Global Vaccine Sharing Initiative. Unfortunately, these vaccine orders do not equal deliveries. A small group of countries representing just 16% of the world's population own most of the available vaccine supply. These wealthy nations each have enough doses to vaccinate their entire population many times over. On the other hand, Africa has already used more than 70% of its doses, and many countries are unsure when the next deliveries are going to happen. The longer we leave the high-risk groups unprotected from the virus, the more human life will be lost. At the very least, we need to make sure that Africa has enough supply to safeguard the most vulnerable of its population. Hoarding vaccines, when global supply is already limited by manufacturing capacity, is morally indefensible. Doses must be shared so that global supply is equally distributed across the world. Lastly, but definitely not least, Africa needs to start producing its own vaccine. Currently, vaccines produced in Africa account for just 1% of the continent's supply. That's why the Africa CDC has a bold new plan for boosting local manufacturing to meet 60% of Africa's needs by year 2040. But this is no small task. Right now, there is limited COVID-19 vaccine manufacturing occurring in Africa, but these local sites don't actually make vaccines. They are fill-to-finish plants where imported vaccine substance is placed in vials, labeled and prepared for shipping. The monopoly over vaccine production held by global pharmaceutical companies is protected by patents, undermining the world's ability to grow the overall supply and increase access. To get this process started, the World Health Organization and its COVAX partners are working with a South African consortium to establish its first COVID mRNA vaccine technology transfer hub. The new hub will provide training on mRNA technologies for manufacturers from low and middle income countries and license them to move forward with local production. mRNA vaccines hold big promise for Africa. They're highly adaptable to new variants and can be manufactured on smaller production sites at a relatively low cost. The amount of time it will take before the hub starts producing vaccines from scratch depends on whether a pharmaceutical company with proven mRNA vaccines will commit to supporting the initiative. If a big pharma partner does indeed come forward, vaccines could be produced in South Africa within the next 12 to 24 months, according to the WHO. While these are big challenges facing Africa, all of them have solutions. We need to stop vaccine nationalism, put people before profits, and start acting like a global community if we want to beat this pandemic.